Serbia said on Sunday that explosives are devastating power were found near the TurkStream pipeline. The critical gas pipeline carries Russian natural gas to Hungary and beyond. Serbian President-elect.
Today, alarming developments are emerging from Hungary. The situation there, particularly in the lead-up to a crucial national election, is escalating rapidly and showing signs of turning into a serious political and security crisis. What makes this even more concerning is the reported involvement of figures linked to the hybrid warfare strategies previously seen in Donbass. According to multiple sources, recent events in Hungary appear to be following a familiar playbook, one that includes constant warnings, accusations, and the framing of external threats. Prime Minister Viktor Orban is increasingly portrayed as raising tensions, with rhetoric that risks triggering a broader confrontation, potentially even along Ukraine's western border. If such a scenario unfolds, it would mark a dangerous escalation not just for the region, but for Europe as a whole. The latest flashpoint came with the sudden discovery of high-powered explosives and detonation equipment near the TurkStream gas pipeline, which runs between Serbia and Hungary. Serbia's president confirmed the finding, describing it as a deliberate act likely intended to send a strong political message rather than being a random incident. Hungarian authorities responded swiftly by convening an emergency defense council. At the same time, pro-government media began amplifying claims that Ukraine could be behind the sabotage attempt. This narrative quickly intensified tensions and set the stage for further escalation. However, Serbian officials rejected any direct link to Ukraine. Investigators noted that while the device appeared to be US-made, this alone does not identify who was responsible. This highlights the complexity of the situation and raises questions about competing narratives being pushed for political purposes. The incident coincided with a high-profile visit by the US Vice President to Hungary, aimed at supporting Orban's election campaign. Just days earlier, Orban had issued strong warnings, even suggesting the possibility of open conflict if critical energy infrastructure continued to be threatened. Ukraine, for its part, immediately denied all accusations and warned that the incident bears the hallmarks of a coordinated false flag operation, an event staged to blame another party and justify political or military action. Ukrainian officials pointed toward possible Russian involvement, a suspicion echoed by several investigative journalists within Hungary itself. Notably, reports suggest that intelligence about a potential staged incident had been circulating weeks in advance. The timing aligns closely with mounting political pressure on Orban. Analysts believe such an incident could serve as a pretext for declaring a state of emergency, which would dramatically reshape the political landscape just days before the election. For the first time in over a decade, Orban's hold on power appears to be weakening. Polls indicate that the opposition is leading by a significant margin, with support among decided voters approaching 60%, compared to roughly 35% for Orban's Fidesz party. Even in traditional strongholds, he is facing protests and open public resistance. In response, Orban's messaging has shifted sharply toward emphasizing external threats. Ukraine is increasingly portrayed as a hostile actor, while fears of war are used to mobilize domestic support. Within this context, the pipeline incident appears less like an isolated case and more like a potentially premeditated trigger event. At the same time, European intelligence reports indicate the presence of Russian operatives in Hungary, allegedly tasked with influencing the election outcome. Hungary has long been viewed as a key foothold for Russia within both the European Union and NATO, occasionally slowing or complicating unified decisions. Leaked communications suggest a history of high-level coordination between Hungarian and Russian officials, including discussions about aligning Hungary's positions with Russian interests in EU debates. This has fueled growing concern about the depth of foreign influence in Hungary's political system. Adding to these concerns is the reported arrival of a Russian political figure widely described as an architect of hybrid warfare in Donbass. He is believed to be serving as an informal advisor to Orban. His presence raises fears that more aggressive and unconventional strategies may be under consideration. Some intelligence leaks point to even more extreme scenarios. These include the possibility of staging major security incidents to sway public opinion. One proposal reportedly involved simulating an assassination attempt on Orban. Such an event could shift the campaign narrative from economic performance to national security, generating emotional support and justifying extraordinary measures. If implemented, such tactics could enable the introduction of emergency powers, potentially disrupting or delaying the electoral process. This would represent a serious threat to democratic institutions and could lead to prolonged instability. Overall, the situation highlights just how high the stakes have become for both Orban and Moscow. For them, this election is not merely political, it is strategic. As a result, information warfare, covert operations, and escalating rhetoric appear to be part of a broader effort to shape reality before voters make their decision. In this environment, the risk of further escalation, whether real or manufactured, remains significant, and the underlying objective seems clear: to maintain power at any cost, regardless of the consequences for the region or the wider international order. If you want to stay informed on developments like this and better understand the forces shaping global events, make sure to follow and stay tuned for more in-depth analysis.